Hi, passionate Rangers FC fans. Welcome to Rangers Update, your dedicated source for all things Rangers. Before we dive in, we want to express our gratitude for your unwavering support. If you bleed blue, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and let's strengthen our community. Now, let's get into the latest updates. A hearty welcome to our new followers. Your backing means the world to us. Mo Heinam, what? Let's get to the news. The air around Ibrox has felt heavier than usual, and in that press room, when James Tavernier finally opened his mouth, it wasn't just another routine media moment. It was the kind of scene that makes supporters lean closer to the screen. His words didn't come out sharp or dramatic, but there was a weight behind them that told its own story. Tavernier spoke calmly, almost too calmly, about cycles ending and chapters that didn't last forever, and that alone was enough to set minds racing across Glasgow and beyond. There was no outright farewell, no emotional breakdown, yet every sentence felt like a careful step toward the door. For years, he has been more than a right back, more than a captain. He has been a symbol of consistency in a club that has known turbulence. So when he hints at a personal decision, even without naming destinations or timelines, the silence between his words becomes louder than any headline. Supporters start connecting dots, wondering if this is a planned exit or a reaction to deeper changes behind the scenes. In that moment, the rumor mill didn't need fuel, because Tavernier himself had provided the spark simply by acknowledging that his future might lie elsewhere. What makes this moment feel different is the way Tavernier framed his thoughts, not as a complaint, but as reflection. He spoke about giving everything he had, about standards, about leadership, and about knowing when a man has pushed himself as far as he can in one place. That language is familiar to anyone who has watched players prepare for a move without officially admitting it. It's the vocabulary of closure, even when the door is still technically open. For Rangers fans, this creates a strange emotional mix. Pride tangled with anxiety. Pride because the captain has carried himself with dignity and respect, and anxiety because replacing that presence feels almost impossible. Tavernier has been the constant through different managers, different squads, different ambitions. Hearing him talk about personal growth and fresh challenges sounds less like a negotiation tactic and more like a man who has already made peace with change. And in football, when a captain reaches that mental stage, the physical move often follows sooner rather than later. Even without names or offers mentioned, the sense of inevitability hangs thick in the air. Inside the club, this kind of announcement, even a soft one, sends ripples through every corridor. Teammates listen differently when the captain speaks about the future in vague terms, and staff members start preparing for scenarios that were previously unthinkable. Tavernier has been the reference point, the one younger players look to when pressure builds. If he is truly preparing to step away, then Rangers are facing more than just a transfer decision. They are facing a cultural shift. Rumors begin to grow about interest from elsewhere, leagues where his experience and attacking instinct would be valued, and clubs looking for a leader who can still deliver on the pitch. None of it needs confirmation to feel real. The timing alone makes people suspicious because such reflections rarely happen by accident. This feels like a controlled message, released to soften the ground before something bigger lands. For supporters, the hardest part is the uncertainty. Knowing that this could be the beginning of a farewell tour without anyone calling it that yet. There is also the question of legacy, and Tavernier seemed keenly aware of it. He spoke about how he wants to be remembered not in terms of numbers or records, but in commitment and honesty. That kind of statement often comes when a player is already thinking beyond the badge he currently wears. It's as if he is setting the narrative himself, making sure that when the moment comes, the story is about mutual respect rather than shock or bitterness. In the Scottish game, captains rarely leave quietly, especially ones so closely associated with the club's modern identity. That's why this measured tone feels so deliberate. It allows fans to process the idea slowly, to argue among themselves, to deny it at first, and then gradually accept that nothing in football is permanent. Even those who refuse to believe it can sense that something has shifted. Tavernier is no longer speaking purely as a Rangers man of the present, but as a professional considering his final big decisions. Speculation also naturally turns toward what Rangers are planning in response. Clubs rarely allow such statements without some level of internal discussion. Either they are bracing themselves for bids, or they are preparing to convince their captain to stay on revised terms, or perhaps they already know the answer. Tavernier's calmness suggests clarity rather than confusion that, more than anything, unsettles supporters. A confused player rambles, contradicts himself, hides behind cliches. Tavernier did the opposite. He was composed, thoughtful, and clear about his emotions, even if he was vague about details. That combination is dangerous for anyone hoping this is just idle talk. In football, clarity of mind often precedes decisive action. Rangers fans can sense that this is not noise created by journalists, but a signal sent directly from the man himself. And when the captain sends a signal like that, the entire fan base listens, whether they want to or not. As the press conference ended, there was no dramatic closing line, no definitive goodbye, yet the feeling lingered like a question nobody dared to ask out loud. Is this the beginning of the end for James Tavernier at Rangers? Or just a moment of honest reflection blown out of proportion? In the world of football rumors, perception often becomes reality long before contracts are signed. Tavernier's words have already started shaping that reality. Supporters replay his comments, analysts dissect his tone, and rival fans watch with interest. Even if nothing happens immediately, the seed has been planted. From now on, every appearance, every interview, every gesture will be interpreted through this lens of potential departure. And sometimes, once that lens exists, there is no going back to the way things were before. In the second part of this unfolding story, the wider implications start to feel even heavier. James Tavernier is not just another senior player considering a move. He represents an era. His possible exit would force Rangers to redefine leadership, identity, and even ambition. In Scottish football, continuity matters, and breaking that continuity can either open a new successful chapter or expose deep cracks. Rumours suggest that the club hierarchy is already weighing options, not because a deal is done, but because ignoring such signals would be negligent. When a captain publicly reflects on endings, smart clubs listen carefully. Tavernier's influence in the dressing room cannot be replaced overnight, and that reality adds urgency to every whispered conversation behind closed doors. Fans might not hear these discussions, but they can feel the tension. This is the kind of moment that shapes future seasons, not through one transfer, but through the chain reaction it creates across the squad. There is also the emotional aspect that numbers and tactics can explain. Tavernier has been a constant presence through highs and lows, a familiar figure for supporters who have built rituals around watching him play. The idea of seeing him in different colors feels wrong to many, almost like imagining Ibrox without its echo. That emotional resistance fuels denial, and denial fuels even louder rumors. Some will insist this is merely a negotiation tactic, a way to push the club into showing more ambition. Others believe it is a respectful warning, giving everyone time to adjust. Tavernier himself has not shut down either interpretation, and that ambiguity keeps the conversation alive. In modern football, silence can kill rumors, but thoughtful openness often feeds them by choosing honesty without commitment. Tavernier has ensured that his future will dominate discussions far beyond this single press conference. Speculation about destinations adds another layer of intrigue. Clubs outside Scotland are always watching leaders who can deliver under pressure, and Tavernier's profile fits that demand. His attacking instincts, his experience in European nights, and his calmness as a captain make him attractive beyond the domestic scene. Even without concrete links, the imagination runs wild. Supporters picture him testing himself in a different league, while critics question whether Rangers can afford to let such experience walk away. These debates are not happening in a vacuum. They influence the mood around the club. Players sense uncertainty, fans grow restless, and the media amplifies every whisper. All of it traces back to that one moment of reflection, spoken softly but heard loudly. In football culture, once the idea of departure feels logical, stopping it becomes incredibly difficult. From a narrative point of view, this feels like a story that has been building quietly for some time. Tavernier's comments suggest a man who has already done his internal reckoning. Didn't he sound like someone fishing for reassurance, but like someone acknowledging reality? That distinction matters. Players seeking reassurance often look to the club for validation. Tavernier seemed comfortable standing alone with his thoughts. That independence hints at readiness. Readiness for change, for challenge, or simply for closure. Rangers supporters may hope this readiness can be redirected into another commitment, but hope alone rarely alters a player's mindset once it has reached this stage. The calm before the storm is often the most unsettling phase because nothing has happened yet, but everything feels possible. As the days pass, this press conference will not fade from memory. Instead, it will be referenced again and again. The moment when the possibility of life after James Tavernier at Rangers became real. Whether he stays or goes, the psychological line has been crossed. Supporters are already imagining alternatives, and that imagination is powerful. It changes expectations and softens the shock if the worst or best, depending on perspective, eventually happens. Tavernier may still walk out at Ibrox wearing the armband, but now he does so under a different light. Every step feels more significant, every reaction more scrutinized. That is the price of honesty in football. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In the end, this is why the rumor feels so strong, even without confirmation. It comes from the source, from a captain who chose reflection over denial. James Tavernier did not announce a destination, did not set a timeline, and did not officially say goodbye. Yet, in the strange language of football, he said enough. Enough to make supporters uneasy, enough to make rivals hopeful, and enough to make Rangers themselves look toward an uncertain horizon. Sometimes the most powerful announcements are the ones that never quite declare themselves. The potential ramifications of this crisis are being debated extensively, with pundits warning that internal discord can have profound effects on morale, cohesion, and overall performance. Rumors suggest that younger players may feel pressured or distracted by the unfolding situation, potentially influencing their development or confidence on the pitch. Speculation also centers on how rivals might exploit the uncertainty, with opposing teams potentially sensing cracks in Rangers' structure and using them to their tactical advantage. Analysts note that in football, perception often matters as much as reality, and the idea of a divided dressing room can spread unease both internally and externally, even if the underlying issues are manageable. Butland's remark, dramatic as it was, could be seen as both a symptom and a signal, reflecting frustration while simultaneously attempting to assert control over a volatile situation. Some insiders suggest that the club may need to make hard choices, balancing fairness, professionalism, and the potential consequences for team spirit. Meanwhile, supporters continue to debate and speculate endlessly, considering various hypothetical scenarios that range from immediate disciplinary action to long-term restructuring, keeping the story alive and ensuring that Rangers' internal dynamics remain one of the most discussed topics in Scottish football at the moment. Amid the swirling speculation, some sources hint that the psychological dynamics within the squad may be even more complex than outsiders realize, with alliances, tensions, and individual motivations interacting in unpredictable ways. Rumors suggest that Butland's outburst could serve as a catalyst for change, potentially forcing players to reassess their commitment, adapt their behavior, or even reconsider their future at the club. Analysts argue that such episodes, while disruptive, can also provide an opportunity for reflection, leadership emergence, and reassertion of standards that define a club's culture. Fans continue to scrutinize every development, from training ground interactions to interviews and media appearances, attempting to extract clues about how the situation is evolving. Meanwhile, pundits debate the wider implications for squad management, discussing whether similar crises could occur in other clubs and how leaders can balance authority with empathy in high-pressure sporting environments. The intensity of the rumors, combined with the lack of official confirmation, has created a climate of uncertainty that continues to dominate headlines, keeping Rangers supporters and the wider football community in a state of suspense and anticipation as they wait to see what unfolds next. Every passing day seems to add new layers to the narrative, feeding speculation, debate, and intrigue, ensuring that the saga will not fade quickly from public attention. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned